adolescent psychologist and author of How to Keep Your Teenager Out of Trouble and What to Do If You Can't.
If you're going to really be able to effectively communicate with your children about sex, you have to be able to effectively communicate with them about everything.
Dr. Meg Meeker is a pediatrician who's written Epidemic, Raising Great Teens in a Toxic Sexual Culture.
We are training our American young women to believe that if they are not sexually active or promiscuous, they are really nothing. They really feel they do not have a choice about being sexually active. So the only way out for them, if you will, is to give oral sex to a guy, because they believe they can remain a virgin and that they can stay disease-free.
Can you get STDs and AIDS through oral sex as you can through intercourse?
Some infections are easier to get through oral sex. Some, like HIV, are probably harder to get through oral sex. Herpes, for instance, is very easy to get through oral sex.
Most everyone agrees kids should be encouraged to delay sexual activity for as long as possible. But there's no magic age when someone is physically and emotionally ready. That's intensely personal.
That's not my job to decide. That's really more between you and your child, because there are faith issues, there are moral issues, there are a lot of issues.
We do know that kids who are not sufficiently mature and kids whose self-esteem aren't developed and kids who are very vulnerable are most often sorry and has a very negative impact on them.
They say casual sex can be especially harmful. Girls aren't the only ones who suffer. Boys can become depressed, and it can affect their ability to form future relationships.
What kind of impact does this have on a boy's character who is complicit and encouraging this kind of behavior?
It discounts emotional intimacy, not just when the boy is 15, 16, as they get older. And it's a very powerful negative effect.
How do you discourage that sort of dehumanization of what should be very much a human behavior?
We have to convey that to our youth, particularly boys, what it means that sex is an act of love between two consenting, mature people. Secondly, you have to be able to think through what happens if you get your girlfriend pregnant or if you contract an STD from someone you don't know very well. What's the responsible thing? How do you handle it? They have to think out loud.
Bernstein, who counsels teens and their parents, says those kinds of conversations are much easier if you spend at least 10 minutes a day talking to your child about other things from the time they are young.
Parents who try to just have sex talks fail miserably. Parents who enter their child's world from early on and communicate with everything going on in their life, how difficult peer pressure is, how hard it is to go through early adolescence and feel like that pimple on your face is a crater. And all of these things, it becomes much easier to talk about sex.
Our experts have some tips. Plan what you want to say ahead of time. Make sure you have your teen's attention. Make eye contact, don't interrupt, and don't always disagree.
Ask your kids a lot of questions and be quiet. Listen. Do more listening during the teen years than you do talking.
They also say, forget trying to be cool, be honest. When appropriate, share your own mistakes or experiences. And tell your child how you truly feel about him or her being sexually active.
How do we keep an open relationship with our children and the lines of communication open, but also establish boundaries and limits that let them know that there are certain behaviors that are unacceptable? That seems to be a hard balance, too, to me.
Sometimes you have to grant your kids immunity every now and then and say, look, if you're straight with me and tell me what you're doing, I promise you I won't punish you for it. And I would much rather know what's going on out there than I would hear it from someone else when it's too late.
Ultimately, though, actions speak louder than words. Kids who grow up around loving, respectful relationships are more likely to form them. What does this mean for single parents?
Because Michael's a single dad, and Cameron's mom's a single mom.
I would overemphasize the importance of living the life that you're preaching.
Lead by example.
The most powerful tool you have to influence your children is the way that you live your own life.
Stay here forever.
Parents often wish they could make time stand still. And truth be told, there are days when teens wish they could too.
Time
it was, and what a time it was, it was. A time of innocence, a time of confidences.
Do you ever feel like you're growing up too fast, or you're in too deep, or you've done stuff that maybe just too early in your life?
I know the transition from middle school to high school was crazy. I mean, everything is drinking and sex. I mean, it's a crazy transition that, you know, I would be completely happy just staying where I was, but, you know, you have to move on. It's like life makes you grow up faster than you want to. And it's not boys, it's not anything. It's just that life just gets harder, it gets more complicated, and if you don't like participate in it, you'll just be left out.
The desire to embrace life, to be oneself, to be accepted, to be loved. By the end of the weekend, that's what 20 kids from across America had revealed about teens and sex. It's so simple, and yet so complicated. Since the dawn of time, no one has been able to figure it out completely. But everyone agrees it's still worth trying.
That does it for us. We really hope this has been useful and a help to parents and teens as they navigate the long and winding road to adulthood. The folks who handle our website have worked really hard to make sure there's more valuable information there, so you might want to check it out. A big thank you to the parents and teens who are willing to take part in this project, and of course to all of you for watching. I'm Kitty Couric. Good night and good luck.